They said no girl should dream beyond the thorn fence, that the world outside was not meant for her eyes. But Nalotuesha was born different. From the moment she could walk, her heart refused to be fenced in. While other children stayed close to the homestead, she wandered the edges of the plains, her eyes wide with curiosity, always searching for something beyond the limits of her father's rule. Each morning, as the sun painted the red earth with gold, she watched the Moran warriors train. They danced with spears and shields, their movements strong and fearless. She admired their courage, the way they moved with purpose, the way their hearts seemed unafraid of anything. Everything she was told she could never be, she imagined herself becoming one day. But at home, life was not kind. Her father, Chief Oli Kilele, saw her as a curse. He blamed her for the struggles of the family and for the misfortunes that sometimes came upon the homestead. He shouted, scolded, and punished her for even the smallest mistakes. Her mother, Mama Naserian, wept quietly in the corner, her tears falling like raindrops on the dry red soil. Love never grew in that house. Fear and duty grew instead, and Nalotuesha learned to hide her sadness behind a brave face. One evening, as the sun sank low and the sky turned to fire, she wandered farther than she had ever dared before. Beyond the acacia trees, she found a place by the river where the water reflected the colours of the sunset. There she met Saitoti, a young herder from the rival Nkange clan. His voice was calm, his eyes gentle, and his laughter carried the freedom of the wind across the plains. For the first time, Nalotuesha felt a lightness in her chest, as if her heart could finally breathe. They began to meet in secret. Beneath the full moon, where only the stars bore witness, their love grew. They spoke of dreams, of lands they would one day explore, and of a world where no fence could keep hearts apart. Love blossomed between them like wildflowers after the rain, delicate yet strong, defying the harsh rules of the world around them. But the world they loved was not kind. The night of their secret was short-lived. Nalotuesha's father discovered them, and his anger was like a storm. Saitoti was beaten for daring to cross the boundaries of their clans, and Nalotuesha was cast out of the only home she had ever known. Her mother's tears fell silently as she watched, too afraid to intervene. The pain of rejection cut deeper than any wound, and the thorn fence that had once seemed small now felt like a wall imprisoning her soul. She walked for days across the endless red plains. The sun beat down on her, and the wind whispered cruel reminders of what she had lost. Her feet were raw, her body weak, but her heart remained alive. She whispered to herself, one day they will see. One day they will understand that love can heal. In her exile, she discovered the strength that had always been inside her. She learned to listen to the earth, to the wind, and to her own voice. Years passed, and Nalotuesha returned. She was no longer the frightened girl her father had scorned. She was taller, stronger, and wiser. Her eyes carried the calm of someone who had faced the harshest storms and survived. She returned not to seek revenge, but to give a voice to those who had been silenced. She carried beads, carefully woven into patterns that told stories of hope and resilience. She carried stories of love that refused to die, and she carried forgiveness in her heart for herself, for her mother, and even for the father who had once called her a curse. As the dawn broke over the plains, Nalotuesha stood before the thorn fence. The same fence that had once trapped her heart now lay behind her, a relic of a past she had survived. She stepped forward with confidence, feeling the soft wind against her face, the golden light of the sunrise warming her skin. She had found freedom, not by breaking tradition, but by showing that love could live within it. She spoke to the villagers, her voice steady and strong. She taught them that courage was not only found in warriors or in spears, but in hearts brave enough to love, to forgive, and to rise above fear. Children gathered around her, their eyes shining with hope, learning that fences are not always walls. They can also be lessons, reminders of how far one can climb when guided by love. Sometimes the strongest fences are not made of thorns, but of fear. And sometimes love is the only thing strong enough to climb them. Nalotuesha had crossed that fence, and in doing so, she carried her people forward, teaching them that no heart should ever be fenced in. And so the girl who was once called a curse became a story of hope, a tale whispered across the plains, carried in the wind and remembered wherever the red earth meets the golden